Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Let's talk about this beef that's going on between like a YouTube creator who also has his own network, his own clothing line, and every year takes people on tours. I'm not gonna say his name. If you know his name, you know. And the people out behind him that are trying to essentially take him down. First off, I don't think it's right to threaten anybody's family, whether you believe what they say or not. Let's throw that out there. Like, you never threaten anybody. You don't have to believe what people say or have the same belief systems, but it does not mean that you go to the extent of trying to destroy them. You know what I mean? If something does not resonate with you, then keep moving. But the way we're set up in society is that we feel like if we can't beat them or if we can't join them, we got to take them down. That's like the mentality of society, right? That's not how it should be. So as I'm going through, I'm listening to these videos, right? This is what I see from both sides, both parties, right? From A, the party who's being threatened, and B, the party who's trying to take them down. This is both an ego-driven situation for both parties, period. So when I went into the first creators live on YouTube, which I always do, I normally watch, but I have to, again, I use discernment. I have to discern between what's his ego and what's his higher self coming through. When I went to his video, the first thing that he said was, and it was such an ego-driven comment, was, "You can't take me down. You can try. Do you know who I am? I own my own this. I own my own that. I own this. I own that. I own all of this. You can't take me down." That is such an ego-driven statement, right? And I'm not judging, and I know it sounds like I'm judging, but my point behind that is that when we are of the public and we are of love and light, we always want to operate from a position of unconditional love, right? What do I mean by that? Like, so for the party who threatened his family, that's ego. Like, why do you threaten children? That just didn't make any sense to me either. But from the ego standpoint, when our ego is driving us, even in the spiritual community, our ego will drive. So when we get into the point of trying to kill ego, which we should never want to have death of ego, we should always want to balance ego. Ego will start to take on many forms. So when we transition from Christianity to spirituality, our ego will transition with us. So we have to use discernment within ourselves, our inner knowing, to know the difference and become humble and aware of what's happening. I've listened to a lot of his podcasts and a lot of his shows, and I've always said this is a very ego driven show. So why do I say that, you ask? Well, because you say that you'll pull out the Bible and be like, this verse is in the Bible, and then you'll go to like the tablets and say it's also here, same story, different names. We understand that it's not about the fact of to discredit one or the other. It's the fact of you've given people the source to find the information that's written in a book that they may be searching for. It does not mean that the stories are not valid. It does not mean that the source is not valid. We understand how the world works. You'll tell somebody something, and by the time it gets to the 10th person, the story is misconstrued, but there's some truth in there, right? So what we should always do as far as ourselves is to go within and to look for the information ourselves, to search for the information. We don't have to not believe in this. We don't have to not believe in that. We have free will and freedom of choice. You can believe in whatever you want. I don't know your journey and you don't know my journey. All we know is that we're all one. We're all intertwined into one. And that we all should move in a place of unconditional love. But we also have to remember that our ego is very strong. And when you've survived on this planet with as much ego as we have, ego is your fears and beliefs, then sometimes it's hard to use discernment to discredit between the two. Um, but that's all I'm going to say. And I feel like both of these parties right now are fighting each other's egos. It's ego for ego, whose ego is bigger. But I would suggest that to both of these parties, maybe come to a neutral understanding and see from the other person's perspective. You know, have mutual apologies and move in a position of unconditional love to maybe you guys can work together because you're delivering the same information just from both from ego. But anyway, if you know, you know. Have a good one.